Hello, everyone, and welcome to Awakening Adventures, where we will have real people with real stories about their spiritual awakenings. More from that place of we're all going through a spiritual awakening and we're all evolving and coming to a new reality. And now we want to support everybody in that awakening. My name is Venus Castleberg, also known as the Home Whisperer, and I use my gifts to help real estate agents clear the energy from stuck homes so that they can sell with greater ease. Today, I have a very special guest. I know I say that often, but today I mean it. I mean it every day. She's very near and dear to my heart and just a beautiful soul out there in the world, making a difference, contributing to making the world a better place. I guess a lot of my guests are like that. Ragan Thompson serves as a compassionate spiritual teacher, intuitive transformational healer, and a devoted world service activist. Through her soul activating workshops, transformative retreats, and inspiring speaking engagements and heartfelt guided sessions, Reagan creates sacred spaces with individuals and embark on a journey of healing their inner wounds, awakening their innate joy, and embracing life with an open heart. Her mission is to elevate consciousness worldwide and help humanity move to oneness, serving the many one soul at a time. And of course, you can find more about her at reganthompson.com. And but again, just to bring Reagan into this beautiful container that we have, I would like to welcome you. Thank you so much, Reagan, for coming.
Thank you for that nice introduction. Thank you so much, Venus. It's so good to be here with everyone.
So tell us a little bit about let's start maybe with kind of what was your first spiritual awakening that you remember?
Thank you for asking. Uh, well, that's always an interesting question because I was just reflecting on this yesterday, actually, and I was thinking about how the depth of the journey of healing and awakening has been so many different moments, so many different, it's been a deepening process over time. And I don't know. I mean, it felt like a download that came through where, spirit, the divine was like, hey, just remember that that's something really important to share with people, that it's not a one-time event.
Right.
So, I am saying that now, and I would say what felt like a one-time event because I thought it was the one kind of thing because I didn't know what I just said to you at this moment. I didn't understand there'd be more. I thought I was like, oh, this is it. I am a butterfly and I will always be this and it'll stay like this and it'll be wonderful. It was probably one of the greater experiences with that would be after I got really diligent with my process to heal myself. It was not long after. I was in my early 20s and I was so tired of, I was sick of being sick and tired, basically. I was tired of being up and down and super excited and happy and really low and um, just didn't understand what was happening with my energy system. It was very high and low. So I went, you know what? I started going to Agape Spiritual Center in Los Angeles, California. And in that location, I found incredible people doing incredible healing work in a very large community, thousands of people. And, every day I'd go to, every time I'd go to service on Sundays, we would be in celebration and singing and deep process and healing. And I mean, the first moment I walked in there pretty much felt like one of my initial awakening moments. I felt all the people in the community and I just started sobbing. I was like, I was raised in a Irish Catholic family, and then I was raised with a very Catholic upbringing. I did not get confirmed when I was 18 because I went on a religious studies journey after that in college, and then went on to just really asking, like, Spirit, where do I fit into this whole thing? And I didn't want to confine myself to any one religion. I wanted to be open to experience it all. So that led me to Agape. I was able to leave the Catholic Church and head to the big world of spirituality. And then I entered into agape. And so, yeah, I was weeping on that first time there. I felt the energy, I felt the people, I felt the openness, I felt the love, I felt the lack of judgment, I felt the amazing acceptance that people were giving each other when they just first looked into each other's eyes. I felt for the first time a soul to soul experience. I felt like I could look into someone's eyes and I would be received, and I could look into their eyes and they would receive, and they would feel received by me. And we would be in this instantaneous connection of soul to soul interaction. So that maybe that first time I went there, so early 20s, and then on to, because of agape, finding my first spiritual counselor. And she was a very beautiful, loving, goddess, beautiful being of light, so peaceful and gentle and just an angel. And I went, I would like to work with you. And she said, yes. And we had our first session, and I mean, it was like a floodgate of pain releasing in one session. And then it was on to like, oh, I'll be in this room, many times this week, and then every week and every week after that. So probably about 6 months of that, really entering into her office for at least 10 to 12 hours of work a week and just pouring my whole heart out and doing the work internally. I had a moment where I would call that the first major awakening, I guess, that all that was kind of leading to it. And then there was this moment where I went, I feel so joyous. I feel so awake. I feel so alive. I feel okay to be alone. That was a huge component of it. I felt I had really been struggling with being alone and feeling very lonely. And yeah, in that moment, I felt myself just like, I could even see almost like wings. I was like, I'm creative, I'm inspired. I got into all kinds of creative arts after that. I mean, just all kinds of cool stuff started to happen.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So for my guests, some of the guests have had NDEs, near-death experiences to have a spiritual awakening. Some people have, just like they walk into a space or watch a movie. I'm excited to have another guest that watched a movie and had a spontaneous
Oh my
awakening.
gosh.
Like that's like it can happen anywhere, right?
Yeah.
But what happens, and you mentioned this in the beginning, and thank you for mentioning that, like, is that the awakening is an ongoing experience, right? So it's not like you have a one and done. You're not like, I'm awake now. It's like there's this um, continual growth, a continual change. And one of those experiences that does happen for some people, sometimes before they have their spiritual awakening, but also sometimes during, like after they've had a spiritual awakening, is called the dark night of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
And dark night of the soul is an experience, and I'll have you talk about yours, but what I've experienced is where you kind of feel like you're cut off, like all that joy and all that connection to source and like whatever you were experiencing is suddenly quiet, and you almost feel like you're alone and that you're going through this sort of change, but that leads to a greater expansion and a greater awakening. I know that you've had some dark nights of the soul. What would you say about them for our listeners?
Um, well, I can say that they vary in their degree of how much they feel as far as the discomfort. They can last a short time or a long time. They are not always a very short amount of time, which some might call that like depression. I realize now that during my first initial dark soul moment, it was extensive. It lasted for, it lasts for a while. I don't want to get into the amount of time. I don't want to make anyone afraid. I would just say that I didn't understand what was happening, but that's what happened. I was going through an extended amount of dark night of the soul, a feeling of depression mixed with feeling very cut off from the light, feeling very, suicide definitely looked interesting to me at that moment. That was my first one. I certainly didn't think I probably really would, but dying seemed like the answer to that moment for me. And I definitely just felt it as a moment. It was like, it was intense. I felt very like there was like a meaninglessness of life for a moment. I felt like I didn't know what the meaning was. That was the first one, and they've been different since then, big time. But that was an interesting first one, and then that actually led to shortly after the metamorphosis, the bigger awakening. So I basically went through a dark night of the soul journey, and then it was like now you're like awakened to this first initial major awakening. So that's how it kind of went for myself. There was a dark night journey, and then it was into that. And then after that, since then, there's been multiple, and they usually are shorter. They're much like, I've had maybe a 5 or 6 since then, and they're not as many as you'd think, but they're substantial moments. They're not, the reason why you're having one is because it's the same kind of vibration and frequency. There's a feeling of feeling like, right? Like, where are my guides? Where are the angels that I work with? Why is there literally no guidance or assistance I feel right now? I feel like I'm just kind of on my own, if there's something, a way to feel it. And certainly feeling that loneliness kind of seep back in. And I don't know how else to say it. There's this feeling that I have in the past when there was happening where I just couldn't get around it. It was almost like there's no way to just kind of go, well, today I'm going to breathe and say a prayer. I was like, I don't even want to pray right now. I couldn't muster in those moments sometimes my connection to source, to spirit, to God, I just couldn't get it online. I was like, I don't know why I don't feel it right now. And so that is an amazing thing. And I mean, it's changed over time. Yeah.
How would you like tell somebody who maybe is going through one like right now, like somebody's like, you might feel cut off, you might feel like, what would you tell them to support them in a time like that?
That it is temporary. Yeah, each one, as much as it was, felt like it would never end. It was my understanding. It's almost like a spiritual test. You're being like, what are you going to choose? That mantra, literally, what do you choose, with that question being asked, and then my answer. I've shared this before a few times with people because it was, that's how I got through it. I mean, it was such a profound, I heard the question at least, like during the dark night, I could hear literally an energy saying, what do you choose? And I was like, I choose the light. I did muster that out. Like, it wasn't like I choose to give up. I each time saw a single point of light, felt the light just enough to choose the light. And I also think that, faith is like within us, there is no lack of anything, honestly. I mean, I think one of the things we forget when we're in a dark night of the soul is that we are a soul and that the soul is going through its process. And we are going through a process of remembrance of us being a soul, and any of this other stuff where we forgot and we felt separate and all this. Basically, as far as I understand, what's happening, what's healing, is the sense of feeling separate from source, and that all the pain that caused, all the judgment we had of ourselves, or all the concave kind of going inward and like going, oh, I don't know what's real, and is it the soul's real or is the ego real? Like, buying into the parts, buying into the fragmentation, believing in the negative beliefs, believing in the fear, believing in the like, all that kind of comes to a head whether you know it or not, but it's happening during that moment. And you're kind of being asked, like, regardless of all the pain you've ever experienced, what do you choose? Like, do you trust that you're going to be okay? Do you trust and know that you are this soul and this is a temporary moment and you're an eternal, like, when I say yes to the light, all of that is infused into it, is why I'm giving that kind of bigger definition. It's like, I'm not just saying yes, to this white light or this light. It's like, I'm saying yes to remembering to remember my truth as a soul. And that is a test in some way to go, hey, like, what do you trust? What do you believe? What do you know to be true? And I think when I choose the light, like just that simple statement, if you can just muster that out, maybe you won't. Maybe you're like, no, I choose ego. I choose darkness. I choose that. You can choose that. That's completely a choice. For me, that's what got me through. I think the dark nights more rapidly. I think that like that consistent kind of mantra of saying it almost repetitively sometimes, because I was like, oh, regardless of what I'm feeling right now, I still choose, I choose the light.
Right. That's beautifully put. And one of the ways that I've understood is similar to yours, but is like you're at a crossroads.
Mm,
You literally have two different choices in front of you, or maybe multiples, but let's say two, and that in that two choices, the your guides, source, everybody's kind of sitting back saying, what do you choose? Like what direction are you going to go?
mm,
And that you're supported no matter what you choose.
yeah,
Like you said, there's no right or wrong here. It's not
yeah,
like you're wrong if you want to choose, this world, but they have to step back so that you have a clear choice. It's that free will thing, right? So
yeah.
it's like, okay, what's your free will? What are you going to exercise that as and use and choose now? So
I think that's probably so much what it really is. It's just that, like you stated it so well, that for a moment there, with all that divine guidance that we have, it's a moment where it steps back, and so that we can kind of go, with what with ourself, with our the you that is who
mhm,
we are still at this, who we are at this beautiful divine moment. Um, yeah, without that let's just say support, guidance, no voices, what do
mhm.
you choose? You're
Yeah.
like, oh gosh, it's been kind of, and isn't that amazing? Because so many folks I know, maybe some even folks that might hear this podcast don't realize how divinely supported they are. So, maybe they're not aware of their spirit team and haven't really, but we're so divinely supported, and we have been appointed various angels and guides, and we have quite a team, usually most people. And I understand, since we don't see them, possibly some people don't see them, they're like, well, they don't exist. And some people do see them. It's so the point is they're there, and you're right. And it's a significant, wonderful thing to have. And then when it steps away and you're aware of it, especially, you're like, something really has shifted right here. You're really being held so beautifully. That's what's, normally going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
thank you for that. So, how do you experience your spiritual team and angels?
Hmm. Thank you. Um, I experience them through imagery, energy. I see them as light, and I see like beings. I don't have like a direct facial feature. It's like there is no face. I see them around me. I do see them as well as feel them. And so the feeling I get is that there's just so much like conversation that can be happening. It's like I can feel the love, I can feel the support. I feel very, um, yeah, I feel like, I could be in a conversation without a person all day long. And it's like, is that okay? So, yeah, and so I do feel really a beautiful connection to, maybe more now than ever, honestly, which is nice, especially to the angelic realm and to all the angels that are supporting me and the archangels. I feel there's been a new kind of opening into that, and so I feel, I mean, we all have assistants with archangels specifically, that work with us at different times and energies, but there's a couple that hang out with me on a pretty consistent basis, and I'm really grateful for it. And because I guess maybe just the service that's happening in the world and just assisting that process, and I'm like, hi, and they're like right there. It's like, yes, that's a good choice. No, listen, just a second, don't act. I'm like, okay, okay, got it. So, yeah, I think it's just, I find my spirit team, especially when I'm breathing and taking a moment of pause, closing my eyes, I can feel and see. And then also in meditation, especially when I'm in prayer, I feel like an instantaneous kind of almost like holding me in those practices and just being around, and just supporting that process, like kind of almost like a little prayer circle or um I don't sense that I'm ever praying alone, meditating alone. Mostly, I feel like I'm always a part of a collective experience with them, which is really nice. And I used to not know that or feel that. I mean, I can tell you that when I was first starting out healing work, I sensed and felt that I was kind of on my own doing my work. Somehow I had some sort of individual doing this thing with the world, and not anymore, which is really, really beautiful. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, and I know different people have different experiences,
Hmm.
but do you feel like when you first became aware of like your spirit guides and your angels that you were just kind of able to trust whatever they were saying, or did you question it? Were you, yeah.
Good question. Actually was really nice. I started off with just what a lot of people enjoy, angel cards. So I built my relationship initially with cards. I mean, if you look in my side drawer of my bed right now, you're going to see like 40 decks of different types of cards. I started to create a card deck for a while too, as well. Anyways, just those intuitive guidance type cards that, they offer. And so over the course of many, many years, those decks have gathered. And I haven't really been in my decks recently at all, actually. But for many years, I did utilize card decks as a way, as an entry into learning about the different angels, the different energies, the guidance they may give, the possibilities of what I might receive through that type of understanding, working with celestial energy, working with the moon, the star, just all kinds of different teachers and learning through these. So the cards were a really beautiful way that my system started to kind of open myself up to the possibility of that communication and how it could be. And one of my favorite decks was the White Light Oracle deck. So, I mean, the Psychic Tarot deck. I mean, there's so many. And I definitely started to get to know the teacher and the facilitator before I choose the deck. It's just start feeling their energy and seeing like, is this, is it in line? So I would say my first angel card deck I picked up when I was in my early 20s. So, and every day I was drawing a card, and so it became like a relationship with the angels through my cards. And then I realized they were absolutely communicating through the cards. And then I was starting to realize that there was not just a random card. And then I was having all these powerful experiences and helping me so much in my life. And then I had something really fun happen maybe 2, 3 years ago. I worked with an angelic healer for a moment, just for checking out one of her sessions, and I was guided to do so. And she ended up bringing in, as a gift to me, randomly, I didn't even know she was going to do this, sending me a card every day on my email. And so, I mean, she didn't say she was going to do that. I've received a card every day since for the last few years. And every one of these cards, I swear to you, is not her. It's like, I like wake up in the morning at 6:05, it rolls in and it's like another, and it's like so spot on. It's always coming directly from a various, different archangel, a prayer, a meditation. I mean, it's the whole practice. I'm like, where did this come from? I mean, I couldn't think of a more priceless, beautiful gift, and I didn't even sign up for it. And so, so I feel there's this miraculous magic, cool stuff that can happen when you open yourself up to the possibility of this communication and this support. And then now it's like sky's the limit where they might kind of intervene and work with you. And I'm super open to that, right? Because I had the relationship with the cards. So then receiving one of my emails even more proactive in some way, because every morning I'm doing practice. I at some point pull up my phone just to scan through at the very end for what's happening for the day with my team, and then there's the card. So it's really interesting.
That's awesome. So, I love that. And there is no right or wrong way. And it's the
No,
same. It's like just like ask for communication and see how it shows up. And you might be drawn to cards or whatever. I
yeah.
find I'd love for to hear your take on this for your team, but my spiritual team, they're really funny. Like, they do things all the time that I'm like, oh, that was funny. I like and they're just so much lighter. And they're like, you guys are just way too serious. I don't know how do they show up for you?
Yeah, I like that. Probably the way that for now I'm actually really appreciate sense of humor as well. So I used to be a comedian for many years. So that's, some people don't know that. Um, yeah, improv comedian for a few years actually. So I'm like, I think laughter as a medicine for healing is amazing. I think it is one of the greatest healers. So I love that comes through for you. Sometimes it's in humor. I think that they could bring a little more of that, honestly. For me, I think they know that that's, I can get, it's grounding, but I also can kind of move off into other, like, maybe it's a little distracting. I might be like, oh, I'm just gonna have fun and laugh like a little fairy. And they're like, let's bring in the reverence, like get her back to focus. So I tend to be responded to in a very like loving, very nourishing. They speak to me like a child, like a young, like, it's okay, sweetheart. You're doing great. It's like it's really sweet. It's like you can tell they're like working with any remaining part of myself that might need that. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't even know I needed that today. And like, so I get this really like nourishing maternal energy a lot, like feminine. It's like very divine feminine oriented. Um, Sometimes a little colly, little fiery for sure. If I, I get that from Archangel Michael, or I'll get that from Kali, literally Kali. It's, or even the Divine Mother. She's like, Reagan, like, it's okay. Like, I feel there's like a parenting still going on from them. Like, I feel them really supportive in a way to keep me going, to like give me fuel. It hasn't always been easy. I mean, we're in the 3D dimension. I mean, I sense that they're there just rooting us on, like a team, like it's like literally like you're in a good job, we got this, but yeah, it comes off in a very reverent sometimes way, very more like focused, maternal. Yeah, like they're parenting me still. Like
Yeah.
very like,
Yeah, the channeled messages that I do are that way, but my normal circle of, and I think I just need to loosen up more. They're just doing it because you're way too serious. You gotta like
yeah,
relax.
yeah. I mean, I there's so many different team members in some way. Like some of them are dogs that I've had. Um, I don't know. I tend to feel like there's a lot of like loving, sweet energy that comes from everybody. It's like I think they've seen where I've come from, and they're like, "You've come a long way." It's it kind of loosen up too a little bit for me as well. Like just it's okay. I'm like, okay, yeah. I tend to feel like they're very patient, and they'll let me have my experience too, right? So they're like, okay, well, you're not necessarily fully listening right now. I'm like, yep, I know, and I'm gonna have my experience right now. They're like, okay, so there's so much acceptance I feel, and patience, and yeah, a lot of very loving, sweet energy I get from my team. Yeah,
That's wonderful. I love
yeah,
that.
very sweet.
So I know you've had, different levels for your own spiritual awakening, but like what sort of gifts and abilities opened up for you?
Yeah, it's fun because I just felt guided yesterday to rewrite that because it's like all different. It's just my team got it this morning and they're like, oh, that's so helpful to get. I'm like, yeah, it just completely shifted again. So I think you've also had wonderful experience in all kinds of healing modalities and trainings. It seems that as a teacher and a healer, I've had trained various modalities as well, but I think what's coming forward now um, is that I'm predominantly working within the realm of all of that has been into like just working with light and energy and working within the realm of deep compassionate love that's kind of channeled through my system from the divine so that I can just be available to, I think because I have children and I work with a lot of people, what comes through is a very loving, unconditional loving purity from spirit in those times with people, right? And that they feel a grounded, session where I'm just channeling and bringing frequency of high divine light through my system and then ushering it as a gift and a blessing to their system. And then they're starting to work and move it through their systems. And so we're having like a cohesive kind of collaborative experience of just basking in the divine white light of spirit, working with, EFT if possibly needed, or forgiveness work, working in the realm. I'm a divine I am practitioner, so I've been trained in divine I am. So dropping into divine I am, there's souls. So I'm a soul journey teacher. So I help people really drop into the core of their being, right, and start to process and purify from that space. So no mind-based processing, really practicing helping people like move out of the mind, out of the thinking mind, and into a receptive, intuitive space of drop-in where when they're working, they're already dropped in and they're already working from heart and soul. And so then spirit's just like flooding in higher energy, and then it's like moving into their whole system and flooding the system. So that's been kind of what's been coming in. And then it's been helpful for a lot of folks in a pretty accelerated way. And then there's been a lot of planetary grid work. So working within the realm of the Christ grid, the Christ consciousness. So working in like a grid holder, an anchor of the light globally. So that is both a global process of helping with the collective awakening of the planet, as well as a process of clearing other systems by bringing in various layers of the grid into their system to move through the body. So then I work with layers 1 through 4 and 5 through 9 of the grid system. So that has been working beautifully to help people if they're willing and they're able to stay in that energy. It's pretty high vibe. So I'm finding spirits bringing in specific grid holders as well that are doing similar work, which I'm getting to meet some of them, and there's not a whole lot of us. And it feels like such lovely work. I mean, if it's, how it is, it's like, it's really the limit of our imagination that just blocks the healing. So if someone is willing to like go through the process of letting the layers work with their system, it's been kind of incredible what can happen pretty rapidly.
Well, that's wonderful. Would you speak a little bit more about what the grid is for anybody listening that might be like, what is she talking about?
Well, there's basically, we're just like, here's our earth, but we have these energy ley lines that are like all around the earth. And it's really the Christ, when we talk about obviously Jesus, the beautiful teacher that came here to help us out so beautifully, so powerfully. Off he went to ascend and become this amazing being that still works with us. Within the realm specifically of the Christ consciousness light. That was his greatest gift, that he brought this incredible frequency of light that really is the true divine light of our planet. And it is something that we have felt somehow separate from because of all the different, dimensions of our process here on Earth. We do have free will choice, so we've experienced quite a bit of pain and process and not knowing how to process things at times, and all the different the dark times, the Middle Ages, just all of that, right? All this stuff that we've accrued within us. Some of us have felt very separate from that light, literally like it's somewhere else or somewhere outside of us, but it actually is a part of our earth. It's around our earth. It can be tapped in, it can be dropped in, it can descend. It is literally kind of made of, it's like the auric field, if you will, of our earth in some way. I like to kind of state it like that. So the Christ grid is like the aura of the earth itself. And when you're doing planetary grid work, which is the Christ grid work, you're working with basically connecting into the aura of the earth and the auric field that is literally like the Christ consciousness light, the highest supreme light. And there's various layers, and each layers, as you kind of move through that grid, the full grid, each layer has a specific frequency that it somewhat works with. And yeah, there's a lot of intuitive process that happens when you're working with the layers. It seems like it would be defined, but when I'm a facilitator for it, it seems like it becomes what it needs to be for each person. It works in the lines of Akashic records. It works in the lines of soul contracts. It works in the line of DNA lines. It works in the line of bloodlines. It works in the line of clearing, cleansing chakra centers, balancing, harmonizing, a whole lot of purification of the system that way. basically the premise is as you work with the grid and you continue to increase and level as you move up to layer 9 specifically, you're working with all that is, you're working with oneness, the supreme frequency. So at some point, hopefully you're clearing and balancing your system, working with these layers of the kind of energetic aura of our beautiful planet, where hopefully by the end you're feeling just this incredible blissful ecstatic state of feeling your connection to all that is, to the cosmos, that you are not separate from any of that and you're just a part of it. And so you're tapping into your divine I am presence, and you're starting to realize that this body, this flesh, is clearly just a temporary temple you get to reside in. And then from there, you're really just this limitless, incredible being of light. You are a fractal of the one. You are a divine emanation of spirit. So that all is remembered within the grid work.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I look forward to us talking more about that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so you have, I'm so grateful that you have a gift for our listeners. Would you like to share about that?
What gift did I offer today?
The 3 free meditations to
Okay,
awaken inner light and align your soul.
great. Yeah, I know exactly what gift that is now. Got a few gifts, Venus. I wasn't sure what we signed up for today. Okay, great. Yeah, I do. I have a lovely gift. That is a wonderful meditation series where a lot of what we were speaking about, connecting to the soul and doing that work, it happens within those meditations. You're going to go on a bit of a journey. Each one's going to take you into a process of learning to access your soul, to listen to your soul, starting to maybe even purify from the soul process work, right, that we were talking about. The result of those meditations would hopefully be having your system feel more harmonized, more balanced, and experiencing possibly beginning to lead and live from your soul, which means that you're going to have the possibility of having more joy in your life, because I've found that when you're living and leading from your soul, that's when a lot of creativity can come online. And then there lies a whole lot of joy. And that's creativity in your expression of whether it be through art or through your work or through your relationships. It's true that I find that a lot of that work, those meditations specifically, help with that.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you for that. And for those of you who are interested in that, that will be posted below. You can definitely sign up for her 3 guided meditations. I highly recommend them. And then, of course, you can find Ragan at raganthompson.com. Like we said, she's also on Instagram as Ragan_Thompson, LinkedIn as Ragan-Thompson. And we'll put all those links in below as well. So yeah, but thank you, Ragan. This has been wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you for all sharing your stories and your journey with us, and just giving us a little bit more of a glimpse of like how this can unfold for people, and maybe some tools to help people awaken with greater ease. So
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
thank you, everyone. Have a great
Yes.
day.
Bye. Thank you.
And just to close, we'll say thank you for everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, or share if you receive something from this episode. We want more people to know they're not alone as we all begin to awaken to a new reality. And if you know of anyone who's had some home with some weird energy, please send them to the free quiz at thehomeclearingquiz.com. Very much. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.